Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am Adam. This is Open Late, and today we are taking a look at these two G.I. Joe classified figures. We have the Target or Toys R Us exclusive Tiger Force Stuart Outback Selkirk, and then the standard release Crimson Guard, which I picked up from eCollectibles.ca. My good buddy Mike hooked me up. We got so a couple of really good figures to take a look at here today. I'm going to take a look at the Army Builder first. So the Crimson Guard. We'll just tuck Outback over to the side here. So first off, packaging. He is number 50 on the. We get the art. So we get the. I don't know if he's saluting or sort of what's going on here. There's like dollar bills in the artwork there. Just a cool, like the way that art wraps around is pretty cool. So you got the three Crimson Guards ready to go there. You get this Crimson Guard with the saber up there as well. Then on the back, we get the card art that we are getting very used to at this point. I remember when this was brand new and everybody was speculating, we'd get to know who that was, and sort of this would start filling out. But strangely enough, they haven't been adding the figures as quickly as they were for the old ones. So Crimson Guard is not on the card art at all. Apart from the actual art. So I don't know if they'll remedy that in sort of one fell swoop and just add, a whole bunch of characters. I do like that Crocmaster here has two Crocs. Maybe I need another Crocmaster so that I can have crocodiles, because that looks pretty badass when he has two chains holding them back, one in each hand, holding them back on those chains. Looks pretty good. But the card art, yeah, who cares? Then on the side, we get the specialty, whatever their functions. I don't know. Skulls, crayons, extreme basketball, and spanner and two nuts. I don't know what any of those mean, but you can look them up online, and it's interesting to look them up. I'm downplaying how much I actually enjoy sort of knowing what those symbols mean, but regardless, really what I'm about is the figure, since I am an out-of-box collector and I open everything. So let's go ahead and get him out of the box. He's got that card, the Cobra card inside, which we have become very used to at this point. Nothing new or different there. So there he is in the plastic tray with all his accessories. Now let's hope they come out straight. There's a lot of long bits that have a tendency to come out a little crooked. As I always do, I will do the accessories first. Try to do it as quickly as I can and not talk too much. All right, so I'm just going to set this stuff all up very quickly, very quickly if I can. Then check in with the comments, and then I'll get looking. Master Versal is hanging out. Sam Rock, AI Collectibles. What's going on, everybody? Happy to have you guys all here. AI says the sword sheath on all four of mine were warped. And that certainly isn't straight. But, I mean, it's pretty easy to straighten that. That's just a little bit of heat, which I'm going to give him a hot bath anyway. The sword itself is pretty decent. But the swords are always notorious for bending sort of right out of the package. Master Versus said, good to see you again, sir. Keen to see your new Joes. I've not added much to my collection on that front, as I've pre-ordered 5 or 6 Masterverse figures. Masterverse is a collection that I look at all the time. I haven't pulled the trigger on any of them, but who knows? That may change at some point in the future. I won't be saying too much myself, just lying down as I have a bit of a headache. Oh man, I hope you feel better. I hope my voice doesn't make it worse. Anyway, I'm gonna get Outback out of the package as well, and then I can adjust my camera angle to be a little bit tighter, and then I'll look at both of them. AI said my retro carded guard came in straight. Yeah, weird. I wonder if it's just how they package or whatever. Facebook user says knowing is half the battle. Indeed, indeed. Second package is Stuart Outback Selkirk, and it's interesting to me that some of them have like full names with their code name sort of in quotations, whereas others just have their code name and it's not in quotations. It's just it's sort of represented as their name. We get the Tiger Force logo. We get this very interesting style of art for the sort of box art, which I'm not a huge fan of. If I'm being perfectly honest, not one of my favorites. The Tiger Force and the Python Patrol all come with these kind of map-ish looking real life kind of, I don't know. They're kind of weird. I don't love them. I don't hate them. But I don't care because, as I said, I'm going to open it anyway. Tons of legalese down the bottom there. And then we get Outbacks. Specializations. You know, you tell me what they're. Looks to be some sort of globe, explosives, maybe tropical, maybe jungle, and then desert. I mean, he's Outback. He's a survival specialist, so I don't know. It's and Outback is of course number 39. Do you guys care about those? Do you guys ever look those up? Let me know in the comments. If you're watching, let me know in the chat there, and if you're watching in the replay, let me know in the comments. Do you look those up? Do you care what they are, or do you sort of know the characters well enough? So this guy, as the Tiger Force ones do, gets the Tiger Force card in there. Yeah. It's kind of cool. I mean, I like the updated Tiger Force logo. I like the old Tiger Force logo as well. I sort of had a little bit of a back and forth conversation with somebody about how I wish that this had been more inspired by the vintage logo that they had, but it is what it is. So. Okay. You know, it's when I was sort of pulling them out of the package, I was thinking to myself, it's funny how some of these seem to be like really well thought out. Like he seemed to be placed in the card very specifically, whereas some of them, I really feel like they just like slapped him in there. But he seemed like they kind of intentionally designed how he sort of fit in his in the bubble. But maybe I'm crazy. Maybe that's just me sort of overthinking things. All right, let's tighten this up just a bit. Yeah, that'll do. That'll do. Yeah, definitely how it was packaged, says AI, in regards to the retro not having a crooked sword. Facebook user says this figure hangs with old man Hawkeye. Yeah, for sure. I mean, he definitely has that look with the gray hair. Looks pretty grizzled. Looks like he's seen a few things. Yeah. Also, never looked them up and truly don't care. Fair enough. I mean, that's everybody's a little bit different. That's as a kid, I never read the file cards. So when people are like talking about, oh yeah, on his file card in the vintage figure it says this, and people know like where these characters are born and what their real names are. Like, I've known Outback has been one of my favorite characters forever. I had no idea his name was Stuart Selkirk. Master Versal says, in fact, all that plastic crackle is good ASMR, I think. Fair enough. Fair enough. Facebook user would prefer file cards. They could have been packed in with the figure. Yeah, they could have. I mean, I kind of go back and forth. I'm not fussed one way or the other, if I'm being perfectly honest. Because I wasn't a file card guy when I was younger. So, I mean, why do I need them now? They would just end up in a pile somewhere in a box or in a bin or what have you. So anyway, let's take a look at this. Crimson Guard. So the Crimson Guard, we get the sheath for the sword. We get the sword as well. And of course, the sword has, if you haven't seen this before, there's a snake head right at the bottom there, which is pretty cool. Very well designed. Very nice. Very nice. And that's going to pop right in there. No problem at all. The dagger has the same design with the snake. I'm trying to get the light to catch it. I don't know if it's going to show up or not, but you can sort of see the snake head right at the end of the handle, right at the end. You can see, I mean, it's sculpted very nicely. There's an eye. It's almost kind of scaly. The grip almost makes like snake belly texture. And then it kind of looks like it's got a fang almost. But very nice, very cool. We get the handgun, the small pistol, and then we get his machine gun. And mine is, of course, a little bit crooked, which is not the end of the world, as it is with the rest. I can always straighten that out with some hot water. And then we get this clip here as well, which can just get plugged right in here. Somebody is knocking out my door. Forgive me for a brief moment. I will leave you. All right, I am back. So I've just noticed this too when I was sort of the sword straight. This is crooked, but it also looks like it's cracked. Bit of a QC issue there. We'll see what it looks like when I straighten it out. I don't know if you can see that or not. Oh yeah, the light hits right there. You can see there's a bit of a crack. If that straightens out, no problem. I'm not really that worried about it. I would rather it be straight and have that little crack. But yeah, you can see that it's very much not straight. Now, if I leave the sword in there, the sword's going to sort of take that shape, and I'm going to have to bend them both back. So I'm not going to do that. It's already done it a little bit. So I'm not going to leave it in there. But yeah, I couldn't get this clip in. Maybe I'm doing it. Maybe I was going the wrong way. Maybe it's... Oh, I was doing it backwards. That's why. It also doesn't want to go in. Huh. I've sort of seen and heard more QC issues with some of these figures. It feels like I don't know that they rushed them out or that they just sort of weren't as concerned with QC issues. I don't know. Vintage inspired backpack. You can mount the rifle on the one side, You can mount the sheath on the other side. And away you go. You carry all his accessories, which is what I like to see. That clip fell out again because, like I said, it won't fit properly. I'm not loving this figure in terms of QC. Although once he gets heated up and I heat up the accessories, it'll probably be perfectly fine. But straight out of the box, I'm gonna show you this too, because I don't know if it'll translate. No, I think I'm gonna have to. Okay, so there's like a little bit of plastic on the edge that looks like it should have been trimmed off. And it's almost all the way around. It's much, much more on this side. But can you sort of see the sort of lighter red bit? And it's like right under the chin. You can see that. That just looks like it should have been trimmed off. Like it kind of snuck. See, that side looks okay. Like if I cover that, you don't see it. But when you look at this side, you can see that little bit of plastic. That's annoying. Not the end of the world. Certainly something that I can fix. But I'd rather not have to fix stuff, and I'd rather not have to heat them up and so on and so forth. This is, as I said, probably one of the worst QC, but it still like visually looks great, and it's aesthetically like not an issue at all. This is, again, what was the figure that I did the other day? Must have had the same upper arms. Who was it? Who was it? Who was it? Dusty. Dusty had this too, which is like the upper arm cut is just a straight cut. There's no contour to it. What I mean by that is like with Outback, you can sort of see that his arm wraps around sort of the shoulder socket. This feels really cheap. This looks really cheap, and when you spin it, it doesn't sort of line up properly. So you get sort of a funny edge to it, which is really noticeable in any direction that's not sort of straight on. Also, when these loosen up, you get a bit of a gap there. So that might, over time, look worse. I certainly hope not, but sculpt-wise, I mean, the figure looks really good. It's a very nice design. Very true to the vintage figure. Nice hits of silver. The paint apps are great. I have no issues with the paint apps on mine. He's got these cool textured leather boots with the pockets and the buckles and the straps, so on and so forth. This is another issue that I've heard people have, is that the plastic that they used for the knees is not quite the same color as the leg. Same is true with the elbow. It's a little bit darker, I guess, maybe more burgundy, whereas the rest of the arm is a little more red. That I just put it down to durometer of plastic. You're never going to get it perfect. But anyway, a complaint that I've heard from multiple people. But altogether, as I said, a great figure. Those are nitpicks. I would still say that this is a pretty great figure, and I would strongly recommend people pick it up, because he looks great. And all kitted out, he's gonna look great as well. How am I going to kit him out? I think I'm going to kit him out with his sword. Okay, so that clicked right in. So once I actually got it, put a little bit more force behind it, clicked right in with like an audible click, which is good. Now, how is this going to fit on his backpack best? If it's this way, yeah, I don't. It seems odd. It doesn't seem to. Okay, change of plan. I'm kitting him out slightly differently because I don't like how the machine gun clips onto his backpack. So what I'm going to do is put this in the sheath, at least for the video, because I also wanted to show that not only does this peg into his backpack, but you can peg it onto his waist, which I think it looks cooler, personally. quickly get this in his hand. We'll take a look at Outback after I... All right, come on. There we go. Just wanted to get it properly in his hand. I'm not going to force that elbow because that elbows, both of his elbows don't really want to move, but that's fine. That's down to sticky joints, which a little bit of heat will fix right up. No problem at all. But there he is. I mean, he can hold all his gear, so that's good. I'm okay. I'm okay with any figure that can hold all their gear. But let's. Oh, geez, I haven't been paying attention. There's a bunch of you in here chatting away. Hey, what's up, Oz? Hey guys, just popping in to say hey to everybody. Facebook user says you keep all the packages. You would also keep the file cards. Okay, I probably would. I'd probably just put them back in the box and save them in there. Toy Connections says, Crimson Garden Outback. What's going on, my friend? How are the hips? In what respect? They're pretty tight. I mean, his legs aren't going anywhere. As far as the drop hip thing goes, I typically don't push them too hard until I've given them that hot bath. But he seems fine. I mean, it doesn't. I didn't get sort of a first impression of there being an issue there. Mine are super tight on Dusty. They work nicely out of the box. Yeah, it's hit or miss. I mean, I think that's just down to different batches and things like that. I certainly haven't found that the line is sort of too bad for joint issues. It's not perfect, but I haven't found that it's too bad. Ken said I found my recent classified figures needed the hair dryer treatment, Storm Shadow especially. Yeah, I've been doing it since the start. I've been doing it to be honest, I've been doing it for the last few years. So when new figures come in, I'm not the greatest person to do reviews or unboxings because I'm not going to pose them up. I'm not going to go crazy with them unless if out of the box all the joints are super easy to move, then I'll pose them up. But typically, I'll try to get things loaded on the figure and sort of get them geared up, and then that's about it. Beyond that, I don't want to stress the figures too much. So I think a lot of times when people get broken joints and things like that, it's maybe because they weren't as patient, and now that it's I don't think we should have to be patient with toys. Don't get me wrong, but that's sort of the reality a little bit. The magazine drops and the gun is slung upside down. With this guy, is that what you're saying? So you pull the magazine and then blade down? Yeah, I mean, but if you pull the magazine out, where the heck do you put the magazine? What do you do with it? That's what frustrates me. It's it's cool that you can put the gun on his backpack, but if it looks hokey and it doesn't sit right, then yeah. Do you feel they're rushing these waves out to push deadlines, whereas before it seemed they were taking their time? So I have my opinion on that. I don't think it's Hasbro because we're seeing this across every line. Chinese New Year is the end of January, and then they shut down for a month. I think this is factories trying to get products out and clear the market so that they can essentially send their invoices and get paid before the end of the year when everybody goes on holidays for a month. So I think it's largely down to Chinese New Year. Personally, I could be wrong. I've sort of heard that suggestion from several places. Actually, Mythic Legion's 4-ish o'clock or whatever they call their show on Wednesday afternoon was talking about that. They were saying the factory's rushing to get things out as quickly as they can, and so that's even happening, with Mythic Legions, which is, I think a lot of people think, oh, Hasbro's this. This big evil thing that's just trying to cash in or whatever, but China's trying to cash in too. It's it's hard to say, Oz. They seem to have good detail, and maybe we are just getting more observant as collectors. I think it's partly that. I think it's partly that, like, um, because they're not as scarce, like just in terms of how collectors perceive these, because they're not as scarce. I think maybe now we're a little bit more critical. But that being said, people were critical from day one. People were critical of the gold on the first wave. People were critical on, the blue on Cobra Commander. People were critical on, why do we get Arctic Assault Storm Shadow before we get normal Storm Shadow? I mean, it's the nature of collectors, I think, to be critical. As I said with this guy, there's a couple nitpicks. The arm cut, the color of the joints, the bent sword. However, I'm certainly not saying that I don't like this figure. I love this figure. It's a great looking figure. It's a beautiful figure. The red is perfect. So yeah, I don't know. But you know what? Based on a lot of people getting backwards shoulder joints in a Transformers Kingdom Galvatron last year, you might be right. Yeah, that's like I don't know. I don't know. The answer is I don't know. It's QC, and maybe some things just don't get caught, and maybe some things, maybe it's a bit of both. Maybe it's Chinese New Year and Hasbro. Maybe there's QC things that Hasbro is sort of letting go. Oz says that could be it, but I have to say, when the toys are priced at a premium, I do feel we deserve to be a bit more critical. Absolutely. I mean, that's it's every collector's prerogative to be as critical or as forgiving as they want. I'm certainly going to be somebody that errs on the side of being less critical. I'll be nitpicky, but I'll be perfectly honest. If there's a figure that I don't love, I just move on to the next one. And I just appreciate that these things are out. And I know that there's some people that'll sort of suggest that that's a cop-out answer, that I should be more critical. But I guess my question then is, why is me not being critical perceived as incorrect, and you being critical is correct? And I'm not specifically saying you, Oz. I just mean that, when I hear people complain, and then when people kind of go, well, yeah, but I don't care, and the response of, well, you should care. It's sort of like, why? These are toys. These are not things that I need. I don't need this figure to be perfect. I don't need this figure to be perfect. I don't need these figures to even exist. I'm happy that they exist, and I'm happy that I can sort of do these videos and hang out and play with toys, and that there's so many cool toys that I want to play with. So I guess it's just perspective. Master Versal says, it says, hey there. Sorry, I didn't see that. Some chat amongst yourselves there. I'm just trying to quickly. Facebook user says, I just want them QC issues sorted before the Dreadnoks arrive. I don't think it's. I don't think it's like unique to certain figures. I think it's just the process, and I get it that now that these are more expensive, we're sort of comparing them a little bit differently to other lines. I mean, when these figures are the same price as Mythic Legions, almost, they're not, but you get what I mean. Then you start sort of comparing things by price point. But I mean, there's more factors. I mean, there was some discussion the other day about Sergeant Slaughter's figure, right? Like, why is that a premium figure? Why is that a deluxe? Why is it a fan channel exclusive? If fan channel exclusive, at least in Canada, means everywhere that's not Walmart and Toys R Us. I don't know. But again, you can nitpick that stuff. You can sort of criticize the approach, the business model that these brands are using, that they're taking. But at the end of the day, I'm just hyped to have Tiger Force Outback. And on that note, back to the fun of toys. He has got a big old backpack, lots of texture on there, lots of straps. Texture, or the whole thing is texturized, lots of pouches. So that's cool. He gets his little shovel there, which has quite an interesting sculpt to it. Like, it's certainly not just a flat spade, as it were. It's a little more flat on the back, but on the front, it's much more detailed, with a fairly well detailed handle there as well. Same on both sides. He gets, of course, his flashlight, just as the vintage figure had, which I'm very excited about. He gets a small dagger knife, with a small handle. I don't like when they have these small handles. I feel like the handle should be a little bit bigger. He gets a cool pistol that looks to have some sort of is that a like a laser sight, or is it meant to be like a laser sight on the bottom, and then sort of some strap around the handle for when he's got wet hands or whatever, I guess. This looks really, really good. This is, for me at least, the right balance that I want of sort of futuristic looking tech and sort of real world, because it looks a little more, it almost looks like it could be like from Blade Runner or something, which I love. I mean, it's not for everybody, I get it, but but I love it. He gets his rifle, and his rifle, of course, comes with the strap, as the vintage one did. The strap itself, I wish was a little bit softer. I feel like that's gonna maybe snap off at some point, or break off, or get caught on something, or whatever. And then we have, of course, the clip. And now let's see if this clip goes in easier than the other one did. And I'm gonna suspect, yeah, I mean, that goes in easy, no problem at all. Does it go better the other way? I don't know. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I don't know. Doesn't make a difference. It'll work like that. The figure itself, he's got great web gear, just like the vintage one. So it's wrapped sort of all around his torso. It's connected to the belt, so that's all one piece. The belt and the shoulder strapping's all one piece. We get the holster. Is it a holster for a flashlight? Is it a sheath for a flashlight? I don't know. The knife sheath on his ankle, on the boot, and then the holster for his pistol on his hip. So this guy is gonna get all loaded up. The articulation is what you would expect. It is a double jointed knee and elbow, pinless as well, so that's nice to see. Always good to see the pinless joints. Although the pin, when the pin's visible, it doesn't bother me most of the time, as long as he doesn't have sort of the Spider-Man thing going. So the Crimson Guard is pinless as well. I didn't mention that, but the Crimson Guard is pinless as well. If he had been pinned, I wouldn't have minded, because it's all red. It would have been sort of the same color. Same with this guy, but that Spider-Man thing where, like, you know, the pin's one color on the outside to match, but then it's the wrong color on the inside, that could be frustrating. But life goes on. Again, like I said, nitpicky stuff. But I don't have to worry about it with these guys anyway, because these guys are both pinless. All right, so the backpack, the shovel is so these actually have square. These pegs are square. The holes are square. So this fits on nicely, no issue at all there. That's going to be nice and snug. And the hole in the rifle is also square, so that's going to fit on no problem on the backpack. Is that going to go the other way either? Yeah, you probably go either way. Neither way is great as far as I'm concerned. I don't love either way, but, and again, he's got a pretty tight elbow, but see if I could pop this in his hand. I don't know that I'm going to be able to with that strap. This gun is really soft, actually. Like, really soft. Like, way softer than any of the other guns that we've seen in the line, as far as I know. And I'm going to compare that after and sort of look into that. But it feels really gummy. which is lame, but oh well. Guess it is what it is. Backpack is gonna get loaded on there, and that stays on pretty good. Some of the backpacks are a little loose, but yeah, that's pretty good. Let's see. Was relieved to see these are still around $30 at GameStop. Yeah, I think GameStop, if you have your discount, they're like $32. A lot of online retailers are sort of 34 to 36. This guy, unfortunately, being a Toys R Us exclusive, they are unexplainably selling their figures for like 46 plus tax. They're about $50 after tax, which is a pain in the butt. But that's why I've got this guy, and I don't have the other Tiger Force or Python Patrol figures. Oz says, all right, guys, fun hanging out for a bit, but time to crash the y'all tomorrow night for the great debate on Toy Frenzy. What's the great debate on Toy Frenzy? I'll look into that. But have a good night. I will we'll chat again soon. So this head sculpt has been getting rave reviews, and let me just quickly very quickly try to get this light right where we can sort of see the face sculpt the best. In 720p, so you're not going to see it that well anyway, but it is an absolutely stunning face sculpt. Like the amount of detail, the amount of deco, the shading is just really, really good. His skin looks a little blotchy. It looks he looks weathered and worn and tired. It looks fantastic. It really is. It probably is the best head sculpt in the line so far. I'm going to say that it is. I'm going to say this is the best head sculpt so far that we've seen in the classified line. Feel free to disagree. I won't hold it against you. Although I will say that Stalker's head sculpt is really, really good too. So they might, it might be a tie for first place in that respect. And Spirit Iron Knife has a pretty good head sculpt as well. So they're just getting better and better. Like every figure seems to get better. Every wave seems to get better. And then they throw like Falcon in the line with a Team America head sculpt, and I just can't wrap my head around what the heck's going on. Why there's so much inconsistency in terms of good head sculpts versus crummy head sculpts. But anyway, Gung Ho has the worst. You know what? Does Gung Ho have the worst head sculpt? I don't know. It's not great, but it looks like a human head. I'm just looking at the figures to sort of see if I can pull a worse head sculpt. I mean, maybe Gung Ho is the worst, but I still don't think it's bad. You know what I mean? Like it's certainly not as bad as what we've seen from like Black Series or from a couple other lines. It's not the best. Let's be honest. Gung Ho's head sculpt is not even close to the best. But I'll take it. I think it's okay. But yeah, those are the figures. Those are the Crimson Guard and Outback. As I said, both great figures, both figures that I would recommend. I've got another one of these Crimson Guards, so they're gonna sort of get posed up and sort of flank the Crimson Twins on my shelf. But I'm only getting two. I'm not going crazy army building the Crimson Guards. Facebook user says Chuck Liddell. Yeah, it looks like Chuck Liddell, but Chuck Liddell looks like a human, and Gung Ho looks like Chuck Liddell, and he looks like a human. I don't know. It is the complaint that it looks like Chuck Liddell, because if it looks like Chuck Liddell, then they've done a good job of making it look accurate to a human face, right? So I don't know. Anyways, that's all I had today. Just a couple of figures to unbox. If you are at all interested, Toying Around is doing Unboxing Thursday tomorrow with a whole bunch of drop-in guests. I think I'm slotted in there somewhere around 6 my time, 6:20 or 6:30, somewhere around there. But that should be fun. Always a good show. Um, there's also the Toy Frenzy debate that Oz mentioned there. So tons and tons of great YouTube content coming up. Yeah. Thank you guys all for watching. Thank you for commenting, hanging out. As I say, it's always more fun to open toys with your friends. So I appreciate you guys hanging out. Please like, subscribe, hit that notification button if you want to watch more of these videos and be present when we are live, or watch it in replay. You do you. Collect how you like. But on that note, I will say again, thank you very much for joining me. I'll talk to you all again very soon. Have a good night. Bye-bye.